All right, so it's been a year and a half since I posted my first video on YouTube talking about why I'm no longer a Christian. And that video blew up. I mean, it's my biggest video, one of my biggest videos that I have out there. And it by far has the most comments out of any video I've ever made. And most of those comments are from Christians. And most of those comments from Christians are negative, rude, and obnoxious. And I don't mean that Christians are obnoxious. I mean, the people in the comment section are very obnoxious. And you're probably like, well, why'd you put it out there? It's part of my story. And I expected comments for sure. I didn't think I expected this many negative comments from Christians. Mostly people telling me that I never believed. I was never a Christian. I was never saved. They know. It's like they know what was in my heart, my mind, which is insane, by the way. You can try to quote biblical scripture at me all day, but to think that you actually know someone's internal belief system experiences is absolutely wild. But I find that's one of the tricks and traps of Christianity. From my perspective, is that it gives you a sense of certainty, like you know everything and you know what's best for everyone, when in fact you just don't. So I wanted to give you guys a quick update on where I'm at spiritually, where my beliefs are. And I figured after a year and a half and a pretty vague video about why I'm no longer a Christian, because it really doesn't cover a ton of details, I just wanted to give you an update just in case anyone cares, in case anyone sees this and they're like, I would like to know where this guy's at. So yeah, let's do that. When it comes to the things I talked about in that video, I believe there were 3 specifics. I still stand by those. I still believe the same way that I did when I made this video. I think the biggest difference is when I made the video, that was a year and a half ago, and I've changed in a sense of these questions, and I think the weight that I held even at that point was heavier, and now it's lighter. The more space that I've gotten from being outside of the church and outside of Christianity, the more peace and freedom and joy that I've found in life, and I don't really worry or think about this stuff a lot at all anymore. Some people have been in the comments thinking that I'm an atheist. I'm not an atheist. I wouldn't say I'm an atheist. To me, it takes just as much faith to believe that there is absolutely nothing else beyond us, or like a God. I have a hard time. Some days I guess I do find myself thinking that there must be something more, that there is something else. But most days, if I'm honest, I'm like, man, I don't think it's a God. Or if it's a God, it's definitely not what we think it is, or what our picture of our typical God is. And mainly that's for this reason is, when I think about God, I think of 2 types of gods, right? The first is a God who intervenes, okay? But with that God who intervenes, then there comes a lot more questions. And for me, it makes me a lot more angry, because a God who intervenes is obviously not intervening everywhere, right? He's only picking and choosing certain people. You hear stories, you see people online, you see articles, you go to churches and hear testimonies of God did this thing for me. Hey, God helped us raise money for this or that. It's like, whatever. And then you see all the suffering that exists in the world. And where is God in those moments? Where is God there? Like, God helped me get a new car this year. It's like, that's awesome. There are people who are being killed right now. There are children who are starving. Like, there are so many different things happening in the world that just are absolutely evil and awful. Where is God, right? So there's the God who intervenes for some, but not the rest, which I think would be pretty messed up and evil. And then there's the God who doesn't intervene. There's the God who just created us and then is like, all right, do your thing, I'm out. Like, is God watching from afar, or is he just absolutely somewhere else, he or she or it? I don't know. But then you have to think, like, that's an interesting thing to do, is just to create these people and then just to dip out and be gone. And or if you're watching and you're just like, well, good luck. Like, nukes are coming at some point, right? Like, best of luck to you guys. So then you're like, well, that's kind of interesting that a God would choose to do that. But then there's free will and all that stuff. So there's the 2 versions of God that I think I wrestle with, of like, it either does intervene and is kind of shitty for not intervening where it should, I think, or God doesn't intervene at all. And now some Christians might post in this, hey, well, we're too, like, hey, our brains don't understand this, like our dumb human brains can't comprehend the Almighty and the choices that it makes. I think we get it. I think we can comprehend picking and choosing when to step in and when to not, and how shitty that can be, and how shitty it is if that's the case. So there are times where I'm just like, I don't even think a God exists. But then I look at the beauty that does exist in this world, and I'm like, how can a God not exist in this situation? Like, I look at my kids, I look at the connectivity between every human. Like, there is something that connects our souls. There is, when a beautiful piece of music is played and it's like transcendent, and you're like, what is this feeling? What is this thing? Whenever you hold your baby and you look at your child for the first time, you're like, there's magic in this. When you look at space, I mean, the fact that the Earth is just like floating in this thing we call space, it's pretty wild to think that there's nothing else that helped make this possible, that helped create this. So that's where I'm at. I'm at a place where I don't have the answers, and I'm also at a place of extreme peace with that. Like, I don't need the answers. What I don't need is certainty in order to love my neighbor, in order to be the best father, be the best husband that I can be. I don't have to know whether God exists or not, and I don't have to know whether he intervenes or does not intervene. What I do know is that love can transcend so many things. What I do know is that we are connected as human beings. Kindness and hope and joy and love, all these things matter. And when you hop into people's comment sections to tell them that they're super wrong and they never had a certain thing, they never had a belief, they were always a fake Christian or whatever, it doesn't do well for anyone. It actually makes things worse. It creates a larger divide. I had someone laughing at me on the comments. Wow, this guy, like, with laughy faces. And then I was like, I kind of said something back. I don't engage with everything, but I do engage with some things. And he was like, hey, Trent, I just love you, man. I'm just trying to point you to Christ. And it's like, no, you actually are just trying to make fun of me. You're actually just trying to laugh at the fact that you think you're better than me because you think you know more than I do, which is fine. You can think that. But when you're a Christian and you proclaim love and grace, and then you come into a comment section, whether that's my YouTube videos or that's anyone else, and you act like an absolute asshole, then don't say you're a Christian. Just say, I'm an asshole, actually. That's the church I follow, the church of assholery, because that's what a lot of people in these comment sections do. Now, I have friends, close friends, I have friends that I've known for a while and that we're not so close anymore just because of distance in life or whatever, that are Christians, and I don't see them acting this way. They treat me with love and respect and kindness. So I do not think that Christians as a whole are assholes or pieces of shit or whatever. Like, I do not think that. What I do think is that Christianity gives people a certainty. It gives them an answer, right? And sometimes it doesn't, but most of the time they have this big answer, which is there is a God, there is a heaven, and I'm going there because I believe the right things. And if you don't get in line with that, you don't believe the right things, you're wrong. And that gives people a feeling of superiority. It always has, and it always will. This is probably good for now. That's where I'm at. I hope you're well. I love you. I'm sorry. I've been incredibly busy this year so far. Not an excuse, but I've been super, super busy, and I'm trying to figure out a way, and I think I've got a new way to shoot some new YouTube content, if you care. That is a little quicker for me to do. Again, I've started my own business last year. I also work full-time currently still for another company, and I do music as well. I've got 4 kids and a wife, so life is nonstop, but I want to bring more content to you on YouTube. So I'm going to go a little bit more simple, I believe, this year, and just start posting videos, probably a lot more raw and uncut for you if you want to keep up. So I'll talk to you soon. What is that? I don't even know what that is. I love you.